I'm Sheila Hamilton. We're in the Skype Live Studio Wellness Zone brought to us by Keep Oregon Well, and I'm with Michael Kiwanuka. Hey, Michael.
Hi, how's it going?
So good to see you.
Good to see you too.
We were just talking about, it seems like every time you come to Portland, it's gorgeous.
I know, yeah. Hopefully I'm bringing the sun.
I think you
to
do.
Portland.
You do bring the sun. Congratulations on the new album.
Thanks.
I'm really loving the kind of political tone of some of the tunes on there.
Yeah.
And I want you to talk just a little bit about your willingness to actually have a voice with your music.
Yeah, it feels good to have some meaning behind the songs and a bit of what's happening around in the world as well, seeping into my own emotions and what I'm feeling. You know, a lot of my favorite singers did that too, so it's nice to foray into that.
Yeah.
But at first it was pretty scary because it's, sometimes you wonder if you're going to offend anyone or you're putting yourself out there too, so you feel pretty vulnerable. But it's a really cool experience to go through that. So yeah, it feels good.
We talk because this is the Wellness Zone, and we talk to artists a lot about how they stay well and how they keep their emotional well-being, because of course being on the road, it can be really draining.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips that you share?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things you can do. I was just talking to one of the band members. He likes, the only thing he has for a routine is like the gym. So sometimes it's the gym, but for me it's just a bit of space in the day where I can just be really quiet and just have a bit of time in my own mind and reflect a bit, even if it's 10 minutes, just a bit of quiet. So after gigs, as soon as I finish playing, I usually go to the warm-up room I warm up in and just kind of sit there for 10-15 minutes, just chill and like not talk, and then kind of start again.
It's cool. So you're actually giving your brain a break from all the stimuli.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. I read that you kind of created your own following by MySpace, which cracks me up.
Yeah.
So there's a whole thing about social media being really good, and then it can also be really negative.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you use it, and how do you maintain that distance to make sure you're staying healthy?
Yeah, social media is really, really tough. It's like, it seems like one of those things that's a necessity for this job, but yeah, it can be just as unhelpful too. I think it's like making a barrier, so I use Instagram and a bit of Twitter, and I kind of give myself a bit of time on there to post or to just see what's happening with other artists or things I'm into. But there's a cut-off and there's a barrier, so I won't post everything about my life on there. It'll just be music things or things that happen with my songwriting and a few other things in my life as well. I know people like to see that you're really, a human being too, and they can relate. But there's definitely like a boundary that I have where I don't cross, so that I can kind of protect and have a bit of reality, Because I feel like if everything's on there, you can feel a little overwhelmed and feel a little unprotected, and then you also just like look at other people's lives and you kind of just want that, oh, that guy's doing better or this girl's doing better or they look better or she looks better, whatever it is. So I feel like when you have boundaries, it's all right,
I read that you were really into the grunge bands, Radiohead. So I was thinking you must have been a huge fan of Soundgarden, and the loss of Chris Cornell this week was particularly hard for those of us in the Northwest.
Can imagine.
How because I know most artists really do have some level of sensitivity to be able to do what they do.
Yeah.
How do you feed that and protect yourself?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, every time I listen to my favorite singers, people like Chris Cornell, his voice, he has a good sounding voice. But the thing that I think that keeps, he has an amazing sounding voice, but the thing that keeps people engaged, I think, is what's behind it as well. So what he's singing about and his heart and his emotions and all those things that we try and keep well, And there's always a side, I think, to those singers that feels things maybe a little more three-dimensionally than others. Not that it's a better way to be, but that's how, when we hear those voices, we just get addicted to them, whether it's Marvin Gaye, Chris Cornell, Janis Joplin, whatever, And they all had, if you read on their lives, they all had issues with, sometimes it might be mental health, or you can use drugs to kind of get you through. So you do need to protect yourself. And I just think normality and finding some rooting in someone's in one's life can help you, you know. So just like you can have a boundary on social media and be like, well, I'm only gonna post so much, you can have that with your life. So it'll be like, maybe after you played like a big high, like a few weeks ago I played the Royal Albert Hall, the next day I was just doing dishes at home, you know. And sometimes it makes you feel down a little bit, you know. You can be like, oh, I was just playing the Royal Albert Hall, now I'm just doing the dishes like anyone else. You can feel like a bit low, but then actually that's the best thing you can do, you know, because it levels your mind out and it keeps you grounded, keeps you at peace in a way, you know, and it keeps you just controlling those highs and those lows, because if you go too high or too low, that's where I think the problems start.
No doubt. Michael Kiwanuka, what a lovely man. It's been so great to talk with you. I'm Sheila Hamilton. This is Michael Kiwanuka.